Hello everyone, I'm George from Ireland. So here I'm at the Martello Tower in Sandy Cove, County Dublin. So this is also the James Joyce Centre, or the James Joyce Tower, perhaps I should say. Anyway, the Martello Tower was built in 1804 because the Napoleonic Wars were on. And I used to assume that Martello Tower took its name from the designer, but no. The original Martello Tower is, I think, in Sardinia, and the Royal Navy were at war against I don't know who in the 18th century and had to try and take one of these towers, and proved quite a tough nut to crack. So the United Kingdom studied the architecture of these towers quite carefully, said they're fantastic, and so hundreds of them were built around the coast of Ireland and Great Britain. There's one on Bear Island, for example. The walls are 8 feet thick, so it's actually not as big inside as it might first appear. And it was used by the army until 1900, because of course the British Army was in the south of Ireland to 1922, well, all over, and actually in 3 bases right up until 1938, where Neville Chamberlain moronically decided he was going to cede them in return for nothing to end the so-called economic war, this row over land annuities, when the government compulsorily purchased lots of estates, allowed tenants to become owners of estates in Ireland, tenant farmers, and then the Irish government was going to repay the UK government over decades, and then De Valera's government said we're not going to pay. So then there were tariffs. That's the so-called economic war, which ended in 1938. So that's game, set, and match to De Valera. The UK got nothing out of that. No recognition of Northern Ireland as rightfully part of the UK, and the United Kingdom ceded its 3 bases in the south. That's Bearhaven, Lough Swilly, and Spike Island. And I suppose Chamberlain just desperately wanted to have good relations with the south of Ireland, as a war against Germany seemed quite likely. It didn't really work. There wasn't much cooperation. At least, Dublin, we didn't declare war on the UK. We didn't take Germany's side. Anyway, so back to this tower here. In the dawn of the 20th century, Joyce's friend Oliver St John Gogarty, well-known writer and surgeon, he was living here, and Joyce had just graduated from University College Dublin. I think he'd already gone to work in Trieste, but came back for a spell and spent 6 nights with him here. And there was some cannon here. Was it firing blanks or something like that? But he was frightened here, and in the book, A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, Joyce, Stephen Dedalus, the character who is an alias for Joyce, tells him all his phobias. For example, he's afraid of hounds. So that was one experience in Sandy Cove, this very upper middle class suburb in Dublin. And we're right beside Scotsman's Bay, which is a section of Dublin Bay. I'll show you that, which is over this way. You can see some yachts in the background, some ferries going to and from Great Britain. I'll do a 360 degrees. So when I was looking out here, I saw land. I thought, what? I can't see Wales already. But no, what you're seeing is the north side of Dublin Bay. You're actually looking north there. I mean, east towards Great Britain is more like this way. So which of course you can't see because it's too far away. We're also very close to the 40-foot hole. And the last time I was here, I was 7 years old. But I remember it like yesterday because I'm hypothymesic. And this location is mentioned quite extensively in A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. One of my very first videos on my YouTube channel was about that novel, which is splendid. It's really unsurpassed ever since. Anyway, this said Martello Tower, it was privately owned for the early 20th century. Around about 1964, it was purchased by the government and later turned into the James Joyce Tower. Usually be open to tourists, but coronavirus being what it is, that's not permitted at the moment, lest this contagion metastasize by people mingling there. We can mingle in pubs and restaurants, but not in a museum for some reason. Now, the 40-foot hole, I don't think it's 40 feet deep. People say it's because the 40th Regiment of Foot was here. What do you mean Regiment of Foot, as opposed to Regiment of Horse? They were an infantry regiment, which is why they're called that. And so there it is, so some steps down into the sea, you can see people bathing. It was an all-male bathing place well into the 20th century, and you can see a photo of Brendan Behan shortly before his death, actually, getting in to swim there. He died at the age of 41 because he was a roaring dipsomaniac. But they had sex-segregated bathing in the 19th century, early 20th century, because sometimes they were bathing in the nude. I don't think we had this sort of special material which didn't absorb water so much. But now it's mixed sex bathing, swimming, I should say. So that's the 40-foot hole. Anyway, It's a lovely little harbour here, Sandy Cove, and the walls were built of the harbour in 1735, and the stone was quarried locally, and then was shipped to the centre of Dublin from here. And the railway came here about 1844. So that's it. It's on the DART, Dublin Area Rapid Transit. That's a sort of light railway in Dublin into County Wicklow, up to some of it go into Meath. I'm not sure the county, which is the one to the north. So this is it, another little bathing place, which is sandier, okay, but the sea is not quite so rough, it's a little bit protected. So that's an introduction to Sandy Cove. Yes, it is a cove, and yes, there is a little bit of sand. Okay, so I'll switch it on now. What a delightfully placid place. So thank you so much for your donations. Please keep them coming. I really need them to make the channel sustainable. You can find me on PayPal, georgecallahan79@gmail.com. That's all small letters. Callahan is Callaghan. All right, then. So that's everything. Slán Abhaile.